So there's plenty of ways to kill some time out there. Right now, you're killing some time with Marcus Bronzy. Now, this show is all about finding new ways to kill time. And this is a podcast. This is a bit meta, but I've been spending some time, killing some time, listening to a podcast called Tag Me In. And we'll get into the story of how we met, but I just want to say that I'm really happy that I've got the Tag Me In crew in here today. Can you just introduce yourselves, please?
Man, just not the mic.
Without beating up the mics.
I know. I'm ready. You just tag me in.
I'm excited.
You just tag me in.
Tag in.
Alright, so you got Anton here.
You got Ola here.
How you doing, Anton and Ola? How you doing? You right?
We're great.
Smooth,
Ola's trying to go in with that smooth voice.
R&B.
Yeah, so you got Anton here.
You got Ola.
One half of Tag Me In podcast.
Yeah.
Right. We've had such a great day today.
Oh yeah.
Why am I acting like I'm American?
I have no idea.
We're British. We're a British podcast.
London. Brap.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You are a British podcast from London, and it's funny, I didn't meet you over the podcast format first. I met you in person and then listened to your podcast. We met at Shout Out Live, didn't we?
Well,
Yeah,
basically, we
yeah.
saw you on stage, and he was like,
Yeah.
"These guys are serious, you know." We had like a little branding, like a little T-shirt, and he was just like,
Yeah. What did you think of our show at Shout Out Live? Because we thought we crushed it. Like, we thought we smashed it.
I like the interaction where people could like vote on like different topics.
Yeah.
Biggie and Tupac. Biggie, by the way. And I like that aspect because you had the interaction.
I couldn't
Yeah.
get my Wi-Fi to work. I was a bit
Really?
upset.
Oh,
But
really?
I
I was
love
just
the
shouting it out
format.
loud.
Yeah.
That doesn't impact the percentages. Like,
'Cause what we
who
did-
actually won? I can't remember.
Let's explain this for the listener first, though. So we were at Shout Out Live, and then we had this bit of tech set up where everyone could log, because we're a techie show. People could log in on their phone and get involved in like a live poll. And one of the biggest questions that caused the most amount of ruckus was Biggie and Tupac, because it was bouncing around. And you were just shouting out, Ola.
It kept fluctuating.
So
He doesn't like tech.
Biggie, Park. It kept fluctuating.
it did. It
on
was
the
like
meter.
52% Biggie
Yeah.
and 48%.
It was
Then it
close.
just kept switching up, and I was
Yeah.
like,
But the concept was amazing. Like, obviously, being in a podcast sort of festival, it's all about talking, and literally, as podcasters, you're probably there and you're trying to entertain your crowd, your audience. But you guys came in and you brought this engagement element
Yeah.
to it, which was
Yeah.
amazing. Like, I wasn't expecting it. I
Yeah.
was thinking, what is this quiz thing? And I'm seeing like the polls go from like 40% to 50%. Everyone's getting amped. I'm trying to fight with my phone, trying to get Wi-Fi. And I just thought it was amazing. Like, you got everyone in that room up, shouting. Just everyone felt like they were just all connected.
they had Trinity riled up. I can't remember what the topic was.
Trinity. Oh, was that your friend that you were with?
Yeah. I can't remember what you asked her something, or there was a topic, and then
Would you rather have Chris Brown?
no, it was
It was that question.
one?
It was that question. It was about having Chris Brown as your sister's boyfriend.
Yeah, Chris Brown is your sister's boyfriend, or I can't remember.
Someone
was it
else.
Rob Kardashian or someone. It
Yeah.
was someone else.
all the women were just.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's good. It's good. And not enough about that. Anyway, great time
Yeah,
at
yeah,
Shout Out
yeah.
Live. I hope there's more like,
Reminiscing.
it's a little taster of our live shows to come. But I met you guys, and I saw these guys sitting at the front, getting involved, had these T-shirts that said "Tag Me In" on them. So I kind of put two and two together. I was like, all right, there must be like some like podcast, and they're here to come and sort of experience the conversations that are being had about podcasts. They're here to sort of get involved and meet other podcasters. And I was like, I can't wait to listen to this wrestling podcast. That's what I was thinking in my head. In my head, I was like, I can't wait to. These guys must be WWE fanatics. I'm ready. I'm ready for this. But I'm going to turn on this podcast and I'm going to hear, if you smell
What the round do is cooking.
Yeah. So I was on one of my daily walks and I popped this podcast on, and it was absolutely nothing to do with wrestling. Absolutely nothing to do with wrestling. And I kind of did this thing that I do when I listen to new podcasts, is I start jumping all over, because I just like to jump to different parts of conversation. And I jumped to a part of a conversation which I can't remember which one of you was talking about being, somebody was talking about being upset about a relationship, and they'd been kind of like hard done by
Anton. Yeah.
by a
Sorry.
female.
Yeah.
Is that your allergies kicking in?
Yeah.
You know it
like
was you.
Autumn time.
Yeah? Who was it? Who was it?
It was Ola.
It was
Are you
Ola.
sure it
was
was?
Ola.
Somebody being hard done by a girl, and
We've
it just
both shared stories.
Yeah, but you've been hurt so much more. And you
Have I?
Yeah, man.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not gonna go into that.
okay. So yeah, we
We'll dig up the episode. Don't worry.
had a listen. Yeah. Bring the evidence.
Evidence.
So we had a listen. I had to listen to it, and I was just like, it's really refreshing to hear people talking about relationships and life in a way that is, not just like that sort of insta win you know, oh yeah, great, good times, good times. You guys actually dissect and analyze how life goes well and how life sometimes doesn't go well. But I'm sure you can describe what your show's about much better than me, though. So what is Tag Me In about?
Just us sharing our experiences in life. You probably heard it all the time, but I feel like people like to talk about the good stuff. They don't talk about the bad stuff. And because we're going through this journey of becoming like the better version of ourselves, we felt like it'd be great to share that with other people, with the audience and stuff like that. So we talk about life skills. We talk about stuff like volunteering. We talk about relationships. We talk about, you know, would you date your ex again? Like that sort of stuff, that we sort of conversations that you
everyday
have with
sort of situations that people go through that not everyone kind of speaks about, and we just kind of bring our kind of
people
perspective
speak about
on it.
but obviously, like, I feel it depends on your circle as well, the sort of message that you get from your circle. So if you're in a scenario like, I hate to reference it, but something like Backchat, and you have a topic about, you know, first dates, a lot of the people will be like, on a first date, I'm getting something at the end. Whereas we're trying to be like conscious, and you probably hear this all the time, but we're trying to give a different perspective on things.
Okay, so there's an area of conversations that we had in these sorts of things where you kind of want to explore just different angles of it, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm getting so for example, dates going well. You know, so what is your final take on dates then? Is it a smash then or not?
No.
It's like, hell yes. Yeah, so you talk about stuff like that, and finance was a thing that you spoke about recently as well. That was really engaging for me, and like, can you just give it? You know, I suggest you as a listener goes and checks that out. But can you give us a little taste about what you kind of covered in the finance episode as well?
Yeah, so on that one, it's money management, and it's how it isn't sort of necessarily spoken about in schools and taught at schools how to manage money and save, but finances plays a big part in everyday life.
Yeah.
You know, you need money to eat, to live, you know, places to stay. So we just kind of talked about how it is important to sort of save money, briefly touched on investments, different sort of ways of investing money, and just managing money in general. I think it's one thing, especially in the UK, where money is like a hush-hush topic. It's something that people kind of tend to shy away from. But again, like I said, it plays a part in everyday life. So why isn't it being spoken about? You know, are you in debt? How do you sort of manage that? Are you saving? Where do you get the best interest rates? Just sort of the general kind of discussion around that. And we just picked at it.
We shared like what we do in life, and like how do we navigate our money, our incomes, and also identifying what goes in, what goes out. And I guess we both have a common aim, which is to be financially free. So how are we working towards that?
Yeah. And sharing our story.
Sharing that story. And I feel like with financial education, we can put emphasis on like schools and stuff like that. But also I feel like the education needs to come from our parents, but you need to identify that not all our parents are actually financially aware. Yeah, that's the term I was looking for. I was like, but
Well, to be fair, they've not really ever had finance on a curriculum in school, as far as I know, for my generation or generations before. And I don't think there's a class where they're like, this is banking. I like, we did maths.
Yeah.
Like trigonometry.
Like
I use it now.
Exactly.
What should you do when you put it in your bed? No, you get a bed from IKEA working out. No, is that just me?
Is that trigonometry?
No,
I was going to say. Because I'm just like, I just look at the space, I look at the bed, I go, yeah, that'll fit. I've learnt the hard way. So yeah, like we were saying this just before we push record. I was like, I can't believe that we don't have a class about things like credit, things like credit cards, things like mortgages, things like I think we had one talk when I was at secondary school or high school, and that was it. That was the only conversation we had, and the guy was basically like, mortgages are bad, it's debt, don't do it. And I was like, it's a lot deeper than that. There are people that make businesses of having multiple mortgages portfolios of houses, there's development, all that sort of stuff that people do, and you can borrow in a good way, or you can borrow in a bad way, or you know what I mean? It's like you can be rich in a good way and rich in a bad way as well. So it's very, like, when I just listen to your podcast, I find it so refreshing, man. So like, what have we got? Actually, no, I don't even talk about. We'll talk about what's coming up in the future in a minute. But how do you feel as two men exploring parts of conversation where you actually tend to show your softer side? So Anton, first, like, a lot of pods that I hear with gentlemen on them, they're not as open with the bad stuff or as open with their emotional side of things and how they feel about stuff. How is it doing that in a podcast?
I don't know. Some people might say I'm wrong on this, but I feel like I'm a fairly open book. Like, what you see, I'm very transparent. I probably hold back maybe 10% of stuff, but that's because I don't want to spread it out to everyone. But I've always been this sort of person that's very vocal and very honest about how I feel. And I think that comes from a level of self-awareness, like identifying that things are not okay, and also having that level of acceptance that not everything in your life is going to be perfect, and also communicating that to others because they could help, but also you're venting or you're just helping yourself by just talking about it with someone else. I admit I try and deal with a lot of my problems by myself, but I have no problem if someone goes, "How you doing?" and I'm actually having a bad day. I have no problem explaining why and just being open about it. But I feel like maybe a lot of people in general fear vulnerability because it's like this element of being accepted in society. Like, everyone wants to be like liked or being a social being. Like everyone's got to be like, "Oh, do you remember Anton? He's that guy. He's always buzzing." But I think you have to realize that that's not an easy way to live because you're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the key thing about vulnerability is like when you're vulnerable and you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you're just saying that this is who I am. You're not faking it. You're just being you.
Great.
I think it was slightly different for me. So like, I don't know if either of you experienced this. Sort of growing up amongst the lads, it was being a man was that guy who was macho, only had anger and happiness as an emotion.
Yeah.
There was never like sad or upset. So it was kind of growing up with that. You can't show weakness essentially. So for me, I wasn't always vulnerable or like open to being open or opening up and kind of showing I'm weak here, I'm upset, I'm hurt, yada yada yada. But it was only sort of until recently I kind of really understood the importance of opening up and being vulnerable. Like there's nothing wrong with kind of venting and being to like one of your close friends, brother, everything's not okay, I'm not doing well, either money or women or whatever the situation is I'm going through some pain. Whereas, because I've noticed with women, they have no problem in general, for the most part, in my experience anyway, kind of opening up and kind of saying I'm upset, I'm hurt, and it's fine. But again, in society, when a man's kind of like showing emotion and shows he's upset, he's seen as weak. So for me, it was just kind of being a man and just learning that I don't need to worry about what anyone says, first of all, and that there's nothing wrong in kind of showing I'm hurt, I'm down, I'm weak, boom.
So do you still see it as being weak?
Not at all.
Not at all.
I think that was the sort of stereotype that was kind of cast, that I kind of saw.
Because I see strength in it.
In kind of being open, yeah, definitely,
because you can build upon it.
Precisely, yeah, and it builds character as well. Just kind of opening up. So for me, it was a long journey. Yeah,
interesting. And you feel better for it now. Then,
a lot better. Yeah.
What about you? Would you say that you're someone that's very open and
pull it on
allow? Yeah, of course.
I say.
Not enough.
Not enough.
I don't think I'm open enough. But I like to compartmentalize certain things. So I'm very open in certain areas and not in others. So I don't know. Is it? I feel like for me, certain areas of my life, I'm like, yeah, cool. But I'm not like this for all sharing everything on social media sort of thing.
I'm with you.
So 100%. Part of that might lead on from the way that I feel is I'll have a conversation with somebody. I might be close to someone in a specific way, but they might not know about this part of my life or that part of my life. I feel like I'm like that, but I don't know whether that's being closed or whether that's just being specifically certainly open to other people because I want to be and not to others. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that as well. And I do see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of being open emotionally, I think it's a thing that's come with age, like having conversations about, I'm not having a good day. Just saying that's really weird. Like people go, "Hey, how you doing? You're right." Everyone expects you to go, "Yeah, I'm good," and carry on. If you actually go, "No, I'm not," they go, "What?" Like, so yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there with being open, and it feels good.
Journey.
Yeah, I think it's easier to do it as I'm a bit older now, but as like a teenager, I don't think it was easy to sort of show emotion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
From little things like you don't want to be a crybaby in the playground.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah,
you're not a man.
Right there.
Man up.
Yeah, man up. Exactly, man up. Man up. Phrase. So we met in the podcast event, Shout Out Live, and then I listened to your podcast and I just emailed you basically and was like, we need to meet up. And that's when I found out that you're not London based.
No, we're up in Bristol.
And how did that happen? Because you sound like Londoners.
We are from London.
From London originally.
Yeah.
I've been there for 4 years because of work.
Yeah.
For me, 2 years because of work.
Okay.
Yeah, we sold to Bristol, and they dragged us out of London and moved us to Bristol.
Yeah,
it's been alright.
You like Bristol?
Yeah, it's alright.
It's alright.
It's alright.
Just alright.
When you lived in London, like London's one of these places where it's diverse.
Anton, just bring the mic a little bit close to you. Sorry, bring it to you. Make it do the work.
Hello.
Perfect. Yeah.
That's better. With London, it's so diverse, and there's so much going on. And when you move to Bristol, which is a much smaller city, it is diverse, but there's not a kind of collective community feel. So for myself, like I feel like it's very segregated. And for that reason, like I have created this ACS group within Bristol, and I'm trying to bring people together because I identify that there is a problem there, and it'd be great if I can come up with a solution. Like I'm definitely one of these people that if I identify a problem, I need to provide a solution. I get annoyed and frustrated if people tell me problems. I sound like Gary Vee. Wow. I get annoyed if people tell me problems and they just leave it there. Like, come with a solution, please.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay.
But Ola's got a love for
Bristol's
Bristol.
lovely, yeah. Got the nice little city and you got the countryside just right there as well.
Yeah.
Whereas here in London, you need to kind of go out a bit to kind of get to that countryside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the countryside is nice to just kind of get away, clear your mind, do a bit of walking, bit of thinking, and just be at one.
No, I admit that. Like, I feel like
nice.
if I was living in London, I'd be kind of living that rat race, like running from home to work on the tube, be vexed until I get home, and then I get home like 7, 8 o'clock, and then I got work again tomorrow. Like, I think, in terms of mind state, and also just general well-being, I think I'll be in a different place. So like Bristol is great for that reason, because you just got a nice healthy balance.
Yeah, which is really important. Really important. I think a lot of people put a lot of focus on working, getting the money, which is, you need money, whatever, but you need to enjoy your life, live and relax.
Yeah, I think that's the most quality time that you can have. Like, the highest quality time is the time that you can relax and spend it doing what you want to do, whether it's like family or friends. I'm all about finding new ways to kill time, but I still like to do what I want to do at the end of the day. Yeah. So it's interesting to hear that, because I've not met many Londoners that are like, a lot of Londoners are like, countryside. Nah, that's boring, man.
Yeah,
like,
what is that?
I appreciate the countryside, so it's interesting to find a couple of other people who.
Was you born in London?
You sent me. Yeah, I was born and raised in council estate, so that was very close. There's a lot of people around you just by default, and I've always lived in the centre of London. But I've spent a few years out of London. When I was studying, I went to the northwest of the UK, like Preston, Manchester.
Okay.
And there's a bit more countryside there. I've always liked a bit of countryside for quite a few reasons, but I do like to get out of. I like to be in places in London where it feels like I'm not in London and just be still for a moment, not hear cars around. It's nice. It's
all the pollution as well. Oh my gosh, I can actually breathe when I'm in Bristol.
Can you tell the difference of the air when you come to London?
If you go down Oxford Street and you're like, oh my gosh, like all this gas, like Yeah. And I think it takes that moment to take yourself out of London and that kind of pollution lifestyle. Like, I'm sounding like I'm very eco, but I'm not. But you could tell the difference just in terms of like the smell and the actual, like, what's that thing when you can't breathe? What do they call it?
Asthma.
When you can't?
Asthma. So how racist is Bristol?
Whoa. Ouch. How racist. I haven't faced racism in Bristol. I feel like
I have once, actually.
Do you get pulled over more by police in Bristol?
Not
or
at all.
less?
Not at all.
I had a little incident at Lidl. I remember I told you about this. Lidl, obviously got to save them pennies.
Yeah.
So I went in, got my bread and that.
Did you bring your own bags?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
2 I'm at the at the till.
Yeah.
So I'm loading my kind of items on the conveyor belt as you do. Blah blah blah. Then this random guy who's wearing like a woman's hat and like half of his face was burnt. He comes and he just like starts he takes my items off the till and is like pulling it back in my thing, and I'm like, I thought he was like bantering. I was like, oh, is this like a prank?
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing?
Where's the camera?
Then he was like, I was here before you, and I was like, no, you weren't. I've been waiting for 10 minutes. Even the guy at the till was like, no, this guy was here. Can you just wait? He's still doing it. I'm like, what are you doing? Then he tries to push me. Obviously, I didn't move. Been squatting and that. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Obviously, I'm not. I was like, what are you doing? So like, I pushed him back. Then he just like flips. He's like, oh, you black C words or you black B words. Come here. You're not typical taking our jobs. Blah blah blah. Why are you here? Go back to Africa. Blah blah blah. Just kept saying it. Black C, black C. Then all the black people were like, oh my god. Everyone was just looking, and I was like, I looked around. I was like, is that supposed to hurt me? Am I supposed to like be upset? Like, come on, like if you're gonna come for me, like say something. Security comes, grabs him, chucks him outside. He's giving it to security. I was like, whatever, man. Paid for my shopping, went home. Then like a random guy comes, like, oh, you're right, mate. I don't know what's wrong with some people. You didn't deserve that. Blah blah blah. But I think that's the only like real incident that I've experienced personally in Bristol. Really, other than that, it is fine. It is multicultural, but I wouldn't say it's not integrated. Like you said, it's not a melting pot. You've got all these other cultures, but everyone kind of sticks their own sort of thing. I've noticed.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say I've had a run-in with the police. Have you been?
No.
Yeah,
not even in London though.
Yeah,
actually once. Yeah. They thought we were smoking weed, but it was actually a group in front of us. But I feel like it was a stereotype sort of thing anyway.
Yeah.
Never forget that moment. But yeah. But nah, Bristol's calm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, did you meet in Bristol? How did you meet actually?
Oh my gosh, this story, because Ola's always going to tell it his way. Go on.
What do you mean my way?
Go on.
The only way. So it was at a meetup event. So meetup's like a great app, meet like-minded people, shared interests. So I was new to Bristol at the time. I was like, let me go out and meet people.
So you actually like logged into Meetup?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's what you do when you move to a new city. You don't know anyone, so you have to
got to
use
get out there. I want to get out there.
technology.
Wanting to meet people. I like that. That was nice.
How to kill an hour, you know?
Yeah. So I'm on the app. There's this meetup group, Young and Restless. They were like, New Year's Eve party, blah blah blah. I was like, cool. Let me go out and meet some people. So I went out, saw some people, saw Anton. We didn't speak at the time, just talking to everyone, blah, blah, blah. Cool, decent night. I'm like, let me just go home. So I'm waiting at the train station, and obviously, typical day, you're not going to get trains often.
Swear it's a bus.
Yeah, I'm like,
It was a bus.
we took taxi though, innit?
Yeah.
So I'm at the bus stop, cool. Then I literally just see this guy just pop out from the back of the bus, and I was like, whoa. He's like, yo, you Ola, yeah? And I was like, yeah. Man had on some woolly hat. I was like, what is going on? He's like, yo, I'm Anton, we're at the event. Cool. We started talking. Started vibes in. Now with most guys, when I have conversations, it's usually women, money, your kind of surface level, level one kind of conversations. But with Anton, it was that kind of deep conversation, like mortgages, respecting women, black community, that kind of like deep level conversation, which I don't tend to have with a lot of people. So I was like, okay, this guy's on side. And I was like, okay, all right, I see you, Anton. He's like, yeah, I'm a serious guy. And as he's saying this, he's like etching closer to me. His hand is getting closer to his waist. He's like, I'm a serious guy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a serious guy too, Anton. What's good, innit? Then it was like a bit of that banter. We're getting a taxi, and then from then on, it's just been like, more conversations, doing like madness. Did a little bungee jump. This guy's like, let's go bungee jumping. I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. He's like, it's booked. I was like, what? This guy did it front, this guy did it back. I was like, oi. So like just been having amazing conversations, building a community in Bristol, meeting people.
Starting a podcast.
Yeah, doing a podcast and just, doing bits, doing the madness, got our socks off and everything.
It's a shoes off studio in here. It's a shoes off studio.
This is a very nice studio. I've got to put it out there.
Yeah, and it's also when you get your feet to rub on the carpet as well, when you give them a little rub, it feels nice, doesn't it? So that's how you met. Anton, what motivated you to start talking about mortgages on New Year's Day?
I don't know.
2000
I was on a
whatever.
wave as well. This is the crazy thing.
So you were drunk and you were just like,
drunk.
mortgages.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, well, that just says how deep it is. We were waved and we're still having that deep level conversation.
But maybe that's because I can't actually turn it off. Like my seriousness. Like sometimes, when people take it easy, just relax. Like I get told that all the time. And for me, and I realized that, for me to have that conversation whilst drunk on New Year's, when I'm going into a new year, I must have been thinking about New Year's resolution, because I must have been like, hey, I'm going to tell someone about my plan. Hey, mortgage this year, innit? Cool, innit? But I was trying to front it. I was like, yeah, man's a serious guy. Boom. What you saying? Like, I feel like maybe I was intimidated, but I didn't realize it, because I was like, I'm walking up to some random black guy. He might think that I'm this some vulnerable type of softy type of guy. I need to put on his front. Hey, what you saying? You good? Yeah, spud me, innit? Oh my gosh, he spudded me. But yeah, that's just me being me, really. Just serious all day long.
And you literally can't turn it off. You're just
I can. There's the parallel side is me being a big kid. Yeah. Like I can go crazy. Like sometimes we have some funny moments. We have karaoke moments in the car. Oy. There's one time when I first moved into my flat, I don't know what we was on. We was on nothing, just fresh air. But we pretending that we was like James Bond, and we was just shooting each other. And then we was just like,
how does the thing go?
No, I remember you grabbed my vacuum cleaner and you was like, I was like, mad. I got one of them cordless ones. So this guy was just going mad. I was like, okay. So yeah, there's those moments as well. That's my downtime. That's my downtime. Having fun.
Yeah. So you lot sound like besties pretty much now. You best friends, or have you got other best friends?
We cool. Best friends, yeah.
Man's serious, innit? You get me? Man's serious. The strap line for the podcast is a podcast with bromance. So we got that bromance, and everyone can tell that.
Yeah, you can feel it in the room. So you met, New Year's. Anton, you started with mortgages straight away. You realised that you had a little bit in common.
Yeah.
And then, so how did the idea for the podcast come around? Were you just like, we should do a podcast, or was it something more deep than that?
I think it was built on the concept and that on the conversations we were having. So again, like we would have these like amazing deep conversations, not just with Anton, with other friends and likewise. And then
the shade.
no. But then like
No, yours are the best though.
Yeah, that's what I expected.
That's why you got the
Thanks,
podcast,
Marcus.
obviously. Then we were just like, why aren't we recording this? Because a lot of times we'd have conversation. I was like, why isn't Michael or John here to listen to this? He would have loved this. And then I remember, I know you got a great story about how you were out in Prague,
man.
that amazing holiday.
Yeah, literally to jump in though, like Ola's always had the idea of being on radio. He was like, maybe we should reach out to some of the radio station in Bristol. And I was like, yeah. And then I went away to Prague for a stag do, and we had 2 rooms. There was like 8 guys in total. And you're on a stag do, so a lot of guys are very savage in their behavior. So there was like 2 floors. There was the guy with the guy, the guy that was getting married and his brother-in-law, and then myself and another friend who's in a relationship. And downstairs was the savage guys. And you could hear them from downstairs coming up the stairs, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But before they came up, we was having like the most serious conversation about what do we look for in a partner. And it was amazing. I was like, I'm loving this, even this kind of conversation. And then I can hear the savage guys come upstairs. I'm thinking, this conversation's going to die. But it didn't. The conversation actually continued for 3 hours, alcohol flowing, everyone sharing their piece. There's one guy in the corner who's just like taking it in. He's not saying anything. He's just taking it in. And I looked at him and I was like, yeah, podcast. Need to do a podcast because there's other people like you who love to hear the story, might not have too much to input, but they just want to hear it and also be kind of surrounded by that sort of like good, positive vibe. So I came back, told Ola, there was like a couple of videos on Snapchat, showed him the video. He was like, oh my days.
I was like, why wasn't I there?
And then, yeah, man, that's how we started. It took a bit of time though. It took like 6 months behind the scenes, but
I mean, I just like the bounce, the bounce between you guys is really, really good. And I just like the way you flow together as well. Like it feels like you've been friends for a long time. So the conversations you have, it feels like I'm sitting in a room with somebody with a deep friendship, and I'm getting to hear stuff. And it's nice, man. It's very heartwarming.
Do you remember that time when you was 2 years old and like I pushed you over down the stairs?
I remember that time. My head. I remember,
yeah. I remember that time, man. That was jokes.
So what's the plan with Tag Me In then? Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to be like? What's the plan?
I want to take over the world. We said about going into schools and literally giving this, because like in terms of being positive role models, or even the aspect that you can achieve anything you want. You don't have to be a superstar. You don't have to be an Instagram celebrity. You still can grind and you still can get to your destination. And I feel like if we can go in and spread that sort of message and also give what we've been through, because like we're just normal people. Like you can achieve anything just by being normal. You just need to put in the work. And I feel like that message should be spread at younger ages, but also like people who can relate to us. So people who grew up in London, probably didn't come from the best of backgrounds. Like I came from a single parent household. There's nothing wrong with it because I came out to be who I am today. And it's that sort of belief. Like I didn't really grow up with any role models. And I feel like maybe if I was like 16, 17 and I listened to a podcast where the guys were talking about stuff in a different that type of light that's not entertaining, I might have been a different person, or I might have made better decisions because of the information that I collated along the way.
Yeah, and I think it's stronger for you to push your message when it's coming from that everyday kind of perspective. Because when you've got, super rich people who are in the limelight giving you a message, it's like for me growing up, I used to listen to like Pharrell and Jay-Z be like, money's and everything. I'm like, of course you're going to say that you have all the money in the world. Why am I going to listen to you? But when you've got the guy next door, like you said, the guy who's lived in the council estate with you, saying actually it really isn't, here's what I've done, then you're like, actually it is.
It's hard to hear that message, money isn't everything, if it's someone that's really rich or really poor.
Yeah,
because if someone's really rich, you're like, well, you got all the monies.
You've spent,
so you don't need to worry about it. And if someone's really, really poor, like homeless, money's everything. You're like, but because you ain't got any to know. That's the general, that's what people are like. So you're coming from that angle where you both got 9-to-5 jobs, you both got careers, and you're just having conversations about finance and how you manage your finances and positive and negative ways in which finances can affect everybody.
A live show will be amazing as well.
Yeah.
That's something that we probably like hopefully towards the end of the year. Next year. We're getting closer to the end of the year. But at some point, like be amazing to get like all our listeners all in one room, come in and get that engagement. Chat. Maybe do a little like quiz sort of thing that you guys did. That'd be awesome. Try and bring that tech.
Biggie or Tupac. Big.
I mean, that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Would you date your ex? Yes or no? Oh my gosh! Why would you say that?
10 seconds.
Yeah, but also like the form of like maybe networking. Yeah. Maybe bringing those people who listen to us into a room together where there's people who are further along the line than we are, and there's people who haven't even started, but just everyone in one room would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be phenomenal. Like,
sharing stories.
yeah.